Yes, Ashley. He says that, as a matter of fact, the cage where he's in right now, everyone is sick. And what they're doing is they're putting on a certain type, a color, different bracelet that states to the guards who's sick and who's not. There's a lot of people with stomach viruses, vomiting, diarrhea. There's other with respiratory issues. Could it be from the mold that they're breathing in? He says that there are people that are starting to go crazy and anxious because everybody's scared. Marco says it feels like they have all been kidnapped.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup.
This is Ashley with Status Coup.
On the ground.
In Philadelphia.
Flint, Michigan. East Palestine, Ohio. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground.
Covering what the corporate media covers up. Hey, this is Ashley Bishop with Status Coup. In an exclusive interview for Status Coup, I spoke with the detainee Marco Antonio Alvarez Bravo, who is currently imprisoned at so-called Alligator Alcatraz, the immigration detention center in the Florida Everglades. His wife, Gladys Smith, who we've previously interviewed, was also on the call, which again Marco made from Alligator Alcatraz to act as a translator. Among other harrowing details about the conditions inside the tent camp, Marco alleges in the interview that a majority of the population there is sick with what sounds like either some sort of respiratory illness, possibly COVID, possibly mold exposure, or what based on symptoms sound like a stomach virus or bacterial-borne illness, which is in line with what other sources have told us about, again, a mass outbreak of disease within the detention center. Marco also told us the people inside are now being given different color wristbands to indicate whether or not they're sick. Those who are sick are being quarantined in separate cramped pods without any attention to their individual symptoms or presumed illnesses away from the rest of the population, which is reportedly quickly emptying out. He also said that there have been hazmat crews coming in intermittently to clean the cages. At time of reporting, neither ICE or the Florida Department of Emergency Management responded to our requests for comment. This call is about 10 minutes long, and I would implore you to listen to the entirety of this exclusive interview between myself, Marco, and Gladys. I will have more information at the end of the interview to share with you. I would ask if Marco is able to tell us any more information about the mass outbreak of disease that we're hearing about in Alligator Alcatraz. I've heard now several accounts of people saying that there is a mass outbreak. The state is saying that there is not. Is Marco able to tell us anything about the mass outbreak and what we're hearing about the cages essentially and the facility itself being emptied?
Yes, Ashley. He says that, as a matter of fact, the cage where he's in right now, everyone is sick. And what they're doing is they're putting on a certain type, a color, different bracelet that states to the guards who's sick and who's not. But yes, there are 2 full cages right now where as they come in or they get sick, they're being put in those cages. And that a lot of the cages right now are actually emptied out.
Wow. Okay. So they're giving them different colored bracelets based on whether or not they're sick and putting them in specific cages. Do we actually know what disease is going around? Is it COVID or something else?
He says they're all being mixed in. Nobody's being separated by category. There's a lot of people with stomach viruses, vomiting, diarrhea. There's other with respiratory issues. Could it be from the mold that they're breathing in? But everybody's being put. They're not being categorized or separated by infection. Sometimes it'll go for a day or 2 days, and they don't receive any meds. So they're kind of scared also if that might be complicating, making things worse, then better.
I would just want to ask one more time. So the guards are cleaning the cells with bleach now?
Yes. Okay. They're actually, he says that he has not witnessed the guards cleaning, but it's a specialty hazmat crew.
A specialty hazmat crew is coming in? How often are they coming in?
He says that in the cage that he's in now, no one has come in to clean, even though that's where they're putting everyone that's sick. But that he's stating also that in cage 7, they came in once and cleaned it out. And then in the other cage, I'm supposing it was cage 1, because he's been in different cages already.
Okay, so they're not even cleaning.
But nothing is consistent.
Okay, that seems to be the consistency, that nothing is consistent.
He says that there are people that are starting to go crazy and anxious because everybody's scared. Nobody knows what's going on with their cases. Nobody has access. And even though they tell them that their attorneys can come in, attorneys can only do so much because there's no one in the system. And they are starting to get agitated. There's a lot of agitation going on, and people are starting to go crazy. There's a lot of them that have been in there for over a month. Marco alone has been in there for, 23 days already. And we can't even find his deportation officer. No one knows who Marco's deportation officer is. And that's the wall that I'm facing today. Right. And like Marco, everybody's in the same situation. No one has no information. Marco says it feels like they have all been kidnapped.
That is horrific. I want to follow up on that, but really quickly, I would ask if the guards have said anything else about the facility itself being closed down or given any other insight into why people are being moved out.
He says that they have heard, the inmates have heard that the guards have commented secretly or whatever. I don't know how they get their information. Maybe it's from the outside, that they will close, but nothing is said. All they know, Marco, están vaciando las cerca. He says that yes, a lot of the cages are emptied out, but nobody knows what's going on.
So they're just overhearing guards saying that it might be closed, but nothing more concrete.
Okay, hold on, Ashley.
Sure.
¿Cómo? ¿Qué dijiste? He says that yesterday when the consulate of Chile came in to visit him, as he was walking by through the hallway, there's a lot of cages, all the way from cage 1 through cage 6. They're almost all emptied out. He says pod 6 is where the sick people are at. Those are the ones that are. He says that it's a setting where inside the tent there's different cages and they go by numbers, but every tent has different pods, or I guess the tents are being called pods. Okay. But right now what they're doing is they have them all in one pod with different cages, and those are the ones that are being left, that are the ones that are sick. They're not taking them out. They're moving them into one tent, I can only imagine. And then some of the guards are starting to feel bad, and they will bring in their meds, and they are coming around to see how they're doing, but nothing. I guess, a lot of these people are being contracted. They do have a heart at one time or another.
Sure. Well, you'd hope so. I would ask if there's anything else that he can tell us about the conditions inside, how everybody's been treated, and if he wants to add anything about his being hospitalized and how that went.
Okay, he says that the first day that he woke up critically ill, he couldn't even walk. They brought him a wheelchair, and between the other inmates had to carry him, put him on the wheelchair, and he was carried to that little makeshift clinic that they have there. They treated him, and he was taken back to the cell, to the cage. By nighttime, he was already so critical. A guard walked by and said, no, there's no way, he can't be in here like this. And that's when the emergency kicked in, and they took him to Kendall Regional.
Okay.
And when they took him critically ill to Kendall Regional, he had an escort of 3 armed guards, heavily armed guards, he says, and in handcuffs and feet cuffs.
Oh my God. And he had handcuffs while he was being treated?
Yes, on his legs and on his hands while he was being transported. Unbelievable.
Oh my God. And did he have that while he was, oh, sorry.
And he says that that's the only hospital that they're all being taken to whenever there's a dire emergency. But for you to make it to Kendall Regional, you basically have to be critical.
Okay. And was he also like chained or had like handcuffs while he was being treated as well?
Yes.
Wow. How long was he in the hospital for?
He says he was in the hospital that night for about 5 hours, and then they sent him right back.
Okay, and I assume he doesn't have his medical records either, that they've taken those from him.
Okay, Marco says that, yes, his papers were given to him. Okay, he misunderstood my question. Okay. The only thing he has not removed is the bracelet that they put on when you go into the hospital, the white bracelet. Okay. He hasn't removed that, but no, all of his paperwork was taken from him.
Okay.
He does not have that, definitely.
Thank you. It sounds like we might get cut off soon, and I'm a little bit worried that we will get cut off. I would just ask, what else can he tell us about conditions inside for those of us on the outside to know so that we can tell the public what's going on inside Alligator Alcatraz?
Okay, he says, imagine 32 people in one cage, 3 toilets, 2 of them for number 2, 1 of them for number 2, and 2 toilets for number 1. Mm-hmm. And then they put a sheet over to have some privacy when they do use the toilet. Basically, I guess it's chaotic.
Yeah. I would ask what other specifics he can add, if any.
They're locked up. They're locked up in cages, he says. He doesn't understand, basically, that they're locked up. No one understands what's going on. They don't get any free time outside. They're basically locked up in a cage.
Okay.
And right now, I can only imagine, Ashley, everybody's sick, locked up in one cage.
So that was our exclusive interview with Marco Antonio Alvarez Bravo, currently imprisoned in so-called Alligator Alcatraz, and his wife, Gladys Smith. Based on Marco's account, in addition to quite a few other reports from other sources, including an immigration attorney, James Hollis, who we interviewed a couple of days ago, which you should go back and watch if you haven't watched it already, it would certainly seem that there is a mass outbreak of disease at this facility. We know that this tent camp routinely floods. It is hot, it's humid, it's filled with mosquitoes. Toilets reportedly back up constantly. It all creates ideal conditions for the spread of myriad diseases from mosquitoes, bacteria, from contaminated and standing water, as well as human waste, and the proliferation of mold throughout the tent camp. Mold can cause all sorts of respiratory symptoms. Justin Feldman, a social epidemiologist and department associate at Harvard's FXB Center for Health and Human Rights, told Status Coup it is less likely to cause vomiting and diarrhea, but that would be related to food poisoning, viruses, etc. Feldman noted that the conditions at Alligator Alcatraz, with people cramped together in hot tents, would only worsen the adverse health effects of the mold. He told us that the heat and humidity leads to more growth of mold spores, and if people are in enclosed spaces with poor ventilation, the spores can be more concentrated in the air. So again, what we're hearing about the conditions inside the facility are horrific human rights abuses. It shouldn't need to be said, but keeping people imprisoned like this displays an unfathomable level of inhumanity, full stop. We will stay on this story and we will keep you updated on Marco and Gladys. So please do share this interview and stick with us on this story. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.